Ever stood in front of your wardrobe wondering, why did I buy that? It's the heart versus the head. Logic says no, but emotion says yes. Sometimes our hearts take over, steering us toward comfort or joy, not just need. Our spending tells a story, one shaped by feelings as much as facts.
Think about the last time you bought something that wasn't on your list. Maybe it was a brightly coloured scarf that caught your eye. Or perhaps it was a gadget you convinced yourself would make life easier. Do you remember that little buzz you felt just before you tapped your card? That feeling of anticipation and excitement is a powerful thing. It's a little rush of dopamine, a happy chemical in our brains. For a fleeting moment, all the worries of the day can just melt away. The world outside the shop seems to fade into the background. This feeling is what shopping can be all about. It's not always about the item itself. It's about the experience. It's the thrill of the hunt, the joy of finding something that feels like it was made just for you. It's a mini adventure in the middle of an ordinary Tuesday. We're not just buying a product, we're buying a feeling of newness, of possibility, of treating ourselves. It's a small act of self-care, a way of telling ourselves that we deserve something nice. And in that moment, it feels completely and utterly right. But what happens after that initial buzz fades? Often, the item we bought with such passion ends up at the back of a cupboard. The gadget gathers dust. The scarf remains unworn. The reality of the purchase sets in, and it might not live up to the fantasy we created in our minds. The excitement we felt was temporary. It was a quick fix for a deeper emotional need. Maybe we were feeling a bit bored, a bit lonely, or a bit stressed out. The purchase provided a momentary distraction, a little spark in an otherwise dull day. This is the emotional side of spending that I find so interesting. It's a cycle that many of us get caught in without even realizing it. We feel an emotion, good or bad, and we instinctively reach for a way to manage it. For some, it might be a run or a chat with a friend. For others, it's a trip to the shops or a scroll through an online store. There's no right or wrong here, but becoming aware of this pattern is the first step. It's about noticing the connection between a feeling and the urge to spend, and gently questioning what it is we are really looking for. Every purchase tells a story of celebration, comfort, or identity. Sometimes we buy to express joy, sometimes to soothe stress, or to fit in. Understanding these emotional triggers helps us become conscious consumers, making choices that truly serve us, not just our impulses. The long grey winter dragged on, leaving me feeling flat and uninspired. Evenings blurred together, work, emails, and exhaustion. One rainy afternoon, craving a spark, I wandered into online shopping. Just looking, I told myself. The bright images felt like an escape from the endless grey outside. I wasn't looking for anything, just letting the algorithms guide me. Then I saw it. A riot of colour, a dress made for sunshine. It was pure joy, a promise of better days. Logic said no, but my heart shouted yes. Sometimes hope is worth the impulse. Staring at the screen, I felt torn. The dress called to me, promising sunshine on a grey day. One click, and I chose joy over guilt. Suddenly, my mood lifted. A little thrill. My own secret sunshine was on its way. A few days later,
The doorbell rang. The package had arrived. I opened the box and there it was. The dress, more vibrant than I'd imagined. For a moment, I felt pure joy. It was a splash of colour in my grey world, but as days passed, the dress became a silent reminder, hanging there, unworn. The initial thrill faded, replaced by a nagging guilt. Why did I really buy it? The dress was more than fabric. It was a clue to something deeper I needed to understand. Why did I really buy that dress? It wasn't just about wanting something pretty. The dress was a stand-in for joy, freedom, and warmth. Feelings I craved during a bleak winter. Shopping was my way to regulate emotions, a quick fix for feeling stuck. The thrill faded, but the root cause remained. Emotional spending isn't about the product. It's about buying a feeling, a fantasy, or a momentary escape. We all do it, hoping for a change that a purchase alone can't deliver. The dress was a beautiful plaster, not a cure. That day, I was searching for control in a world that felt chaotic. Online shopping gave me power. I could choose, decide, and act. Clicking buy was a small act of assertion when everything else felt out of my hands. It was intoxicating, a way to reclaim agency, even if just for a moment. When life feels uncertain, we often turn to what we can control, what we buy. Recognizing this urge is key. Next time you want to shop, ask yourself what you're really trying to control. Sometimes it's not about the item at all. Buying that dress was an act of hope, a belief that brighter days were ahead. We often shop for the life we want, not the one we have. The dress was a promise to myself, a symbol of optimism and future joy. But purchases can't do the work for us. They're just props. The real change comes from action, not acquisition. Instead of waiting for an occasion, maybe I needed to create one. The dress was a starting point, not the destination. Loneliness was another hidden driver. That winter felt isolating, and shopping became a pseudo-connection. A brief interaction, a packaged gift to myself. The dress represented imagined social moments, a passport to belonging. We often buy things to feel connected, to fit in, or to boost confidence. But possessions can't replace real human connection. Recognizing this helps us seek what we truly need. Genuine conversation, not just another purchase. The dress couldn't arrange a dinner date, but it pointed me toward what I was missing. After buying the dress, I wondered if I was alone in this. But emotional spending is universal. We all do it for joy, comfort, or hope. Our emotions drive our purchases more than we realize. It's not a flaw, it's human nature. Let's drop the guilt and get curious about our habits. Understanding this shared behavior is the first step to making better choices. We're emotional creatures, and that's perfectly okay. The phrase "treat yourself" is everywhere. On ads, social media, and in conversations. We're told to buy things as self-care, but this culture blurs the line between genuine needs and emotional wants. Sometimes true comfort comes from simple moments, like a walk in nature or time with loved ones. Keeping up with the Joneses used to mean matching your neighbour's new car or holiday. Now the Joneses are everywhere, on our screens, in our feeds, showing off perfect lives and purchases. We compare our reality to their highlight reels, feeling pressured to buy things just to keep up. But remember, what we see online isn't the full story. The soothing scroll, browsing online shops with no intention to buy, has become a modern comfort.
It's a gentle escape, a way to unwind and daydream, but it can easily turn into temptation. Next time you scroll, pause and ask, what am I really looking for? Sometimes that's all it takes to break the spell. When we make a purchase we later regret, especially one driven by emotion, our first instinct is often to keep it quiet. We might hide the shopping bags at the bottom of the wardrobe or tuck the credit card statement away before our partner sees it. There's a sense of shame attached to it, a feeling that we have been foolish or irresponsible. We worry that people will judge us for being wasteful or for lacking self-control. This turns emotional spending into a private, sometimes secret, activity. And, like many secrets, it can feel heavy and isolating. This secrecy can create a vicious cycle. We feel a difficult emotion, like stress or loneliness. We shop to soothe that feeling. Then, we feel guilt or shame about the purchase, which are more difficult emotions. And what have we trained ourselves to do when we feel bad? We shop. So, the solution ends up creating a new problem, which we then try to solve in the same way. It can become a loop that is very hard to break, especially when we feel like we are the only one going through it. The shame prevents us from reaching out and talking about it. But what if we decided to break the silence? What if we started talking about it more openly? Imagine telling a trusted friend, I had such a stressful week. I ended up buying this ridiculous pair of shoes, and I don't know why. Chances are, your friend wouldn't judge you. They would probably laugh and say, oh my gosh, I did the exact same thing last month. Sharing these stories removes the shame and replaces it with connection. It helps us see our own behavior not as a personal failure, but as a shared human quirk. It normalizes the experience. This is why I wanted to share my story about the dress. By being open about our own emotional spending, we give others permission to be open too. We can start a conversation. We can share tips, laugh at our sillier purchases, and support each other in becoming more mindful. The guilt thrives in silence, but it shrinks when it's brought into the light. We are all guilty of this to some extent, and acknowledging that simple fact is the most powerful thing we can do. It's not about blame, it's about understanding, empathy, and the shared journey of being human. Our emotions, stress, sadness, joy, even boredom, can all trigger us to shop. Shopping offers relief, excitement, or celebration depending on what we feel. Recognizing these emotional triggers is the first step to understanding why we reach for our wallets. It's important to remember that we are not having these emotional reactions in a vacuum. There is a multi-billion-pound industry that knows all about these triggers, and it has become incredibly skilled at using them to encourage us to spend. Marketers and advertisers are masters of emotional psychology. Their job is to create a connection between their product and the feelings you want to have. They don't just sell you a car, they sell you freedom and adventure. They don't just sell you a perfume, they sell you confidence and allure. They are experts at tapping into our deepest desires. Think about the language they use. Adverts are full of emotional words. They promise instant happiness, unforgettable moments, or a well-deserved treat. They create a sense of urgency with phrases like limited time only or don't miss out. This language is designed to bypass our logical brain and speak directly to our emotional side. It triggers a fear of missing out, or FOMO, or a desire for immediate gratification. They know that if they can make you something, you are much more likely to buy. It's a carefully crafted strategy to turn your emotions into their profits. They also use powerful visual cues. The images in adverts and on websites are designed to evoke a specific mood. The happy family gathered around the dinner table. The successful woman closing a deal in a sharp suit. The carefree friends laughing on a beach. These are all selling a lifestyle, an aspiration. They create an emotional story and invite you to become a character in it by purchasing the product. They know my sunshine dress would appeal to someone feeling the winter blues. They create the problem. Your life isn't this perfect, and then immediately offer the solution. Buy our product and it will be. This isn't necessarily evil or malicious, it's just business. But being aware of these tactics is incredibly empowering for us as consumers. When you see an advert, you can start to look behind the curtain. You can ask yourself, what feeling is this advert trying to sell me? What emotional button is it trying to push? By recognizing the playbook, you can make a more conscious choice. You can appreciate the beautiful photography without feeling compelled to buy the product. It helps you separate your own genuine desires from the ones that are being cleverly suggested to you. So, how can you tell when you're about to make an emotional purchase? How do you spot the difference between a considered decision and a knee-jerk reaction to a feeling? There are a few telltale signs, or red flags, that you can learn to recognize in yourself. The first one is a sense of urgency. An emotional purchase often feels like you have to have it. There's an intensity to the desire that feels overwhelming. A logical purchase, on the other hand, can usually wait. You feel comfortable taking time to think about it, to compare prices, or to sleep on it. Another red flag is when you start to rationalize the purchase in a big way. You might find yourself building an elaborate case in your head for why you absolutely need this item, even when a small, quiet voice knows you don't. You'll say things to yourself like, well, it's on sale, so I'm actually saving money. Or, I've had a really hard week, so I deserve this. This internal monologue is your brain trying to find a logical reason to justify a purely emotional decision. When you notice you're working that hard to convince yourself, it's a good sign that your heart is in the driver's seat. A third sign is a feeling of secrecy or guilt. You've even bought the item. You might find yourself thinking about how you'll hide the purchase from your partner or family. This suggests you already know, on some level, that it's an irresponsible or unnecessary purchase. A truly guilt-free purchase is one you feel happy and open about. That little whisper of, I probably shouldn't be doing this, is a major red flag that your emotions are overriding your better judgment. It's a signal from your sensible self that is well worth listening to. Finally, pay attention to what happens immediately after the purchase. If you feel a momentary, intense high, followed quickly by a crash of buyer's remorse, that's a classic sign of emotional spending. The purchase was about getting that quick hit of dopamine, not about the long-term value of the item itself. A well-considered purchase tends to bring a calmer, more sustained feeling of satisfaction. Learning to spot these red flags, urgency, rationalization, guilt, and the post-purchase crash, can help you pause and check in with yourself before you tap your card. When we shop, it's rarely about the object. We're searching for joy, comfort, identity, or control, feelings, not things. But the happiness from buying fades quickly, leaving us with the same needs. True fulfillment comes from meeting those needs in real, lasting ways, not just shopping. We all feel the urge to buy, but the most powerful tool is simple: the pause. When you feel that impulse, just stop for a moment, breathe, check in with yourself, and ask, what am I really feeling? This pause gives you back your power to choose. Once you've mastered the pause, the next step is to ask, what do I really need right now? Build a toolbox of healthy strategies like walking, music, or calling a friend instead of shopping. Make a list of go-to activities so when emotions hit, you have a kinder, healthier path forward. Breaking the cycle of emotional spending means building a mindful money mindset. Seeing money as a tool to create a life you love, not just something to spend. Align your spending with your values and goals. Write down your why and keep it visible to stay motivated and make intentional choices. Breaking the cycle isn't a straight line. There are good days and bad days. The most important thing is to be kind to yourself. Progress, not perfection, is the goal. Every small step matters. Start a kinder conversation with yourself and celebrate each victory along the way. Our shopping carts tell stories of hopes, fears, and moments that shape us. Sometimes a simple purchase is really about craving optimism or comfort. We all have our own version of the sunshine dress. Marketers know this, crafting messages that speak to our emotions. By understanding these stories, we can shop with intention and learn more about ourselves. Spending mindfully isn't about denying joy, but finding balance and kindness with our money. The simple act of pausing lets us ask, what do I truly need? With self-compassion, each choice becomes a lesson, not a failure. The real value? Finding sunshine within our own lives.